Narcissistic relationships, narcissism in general is a huge topic these days, and Jodi Pavlock is back to continue telling her story. She wrote the book Jekyll Can't Hide after surviving a narcissistic relationship that was very abusive, very traumatizing to her. And she wrote the book so she could empower you to recognize the signs and get the heck out of it. So today she's going to talk about how to get out of it. So what the signs are, what to do, what she did, and in order to inspire you to do the same. So she is back to tell all. Her name is Jodi Pavlock. Before we get started, I just want to say please like and subscribe. And to our fans, our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and our sponsors. We love you so much. It's really, really good to see you again, Jodi.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, thanks for coming back to share more of this just life-defining story for you. It's an incredible story, and as you tell it, and I go back and listen to the last episodes, it literally feels like a movie. Like it literally feels like a movie in the way that you tell it, and the relatability of situations in my life where I've gone through similar things. And before we started talking, we were talking about how every one of these relationships is essentially the same, just has
Yeah.
a different background, different lighting, different people, but it's still the same. So I would love to ask you about the journey of getting out. So if you are ready, can I ask you the first question?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Amazing. So when did you first realize that it was narcissism? And what were the red flags that stood out the most for you? Most clearly, like in hindsight, to look back, what were the very first red flags?
Okay. Well, I had like very little red flags when I first met him. Like he just had a big personality, and especially when he would post on Facebook, it's like, "Oh, I went to Punta Cana and I made this much money this weekend and I won this much in the casino." There's a lot of constant validation. So it wasn't anything insidious or hurting anybody. So that was me making excuses for him for these little red flags that narcissists usually do with the validation and stuff. So that was more in the beginning. But when it became the abusive part, the devaluing stage, it was probably about almost 3 years into the relationship, which is not usual. It usually only takes him a couple of months to drop like something this big. And as I depict in the book, I went to Miami. He obviously got aggravated because I had a photo shoot to do, but that was the whole premise of the trip, and I wanted him to be a part of it. He didn't. He lied and said he was going to take a nap in the car. He went to the bar and got drunk. And when we got back in the car, he absolutely flipped out, like total bipolar. Get the F in the car. And he never talked to me like that before. And I'm thinking, oh, he has a few in him. Like, wait, what are you doing? Like it's 5 o'clock
Yeah.
at night, And we got in the car and he was punching the ceiling. You effing CUNT, you bitch, you whore, you this. And I was just like shell shocked. I'm like, what the hell is this? And he's going like literally 100 miles an hour for 45 minutes straight. By the grace of God, we did not crash. I mean, I was having a panic attack, crying hysterical, begging him to stop, and begging and pleading, God, please let me get back safe. Please. I do not literally know what's going on right now. So obviously that was the first time he was unhinged, is my famous word I like to say, because that's what they become. And then when we got back to the casino, he kept going and going and going, and cursing me off, and nobody helped me. And that's one of the first times I saw the narcissistic black eyes, where I literally saw it. Because when he was driving, I didn't even want to make eye contact with him. I really didn't. I was like scared shitless,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot for me to be scared. So it was just otherworldly. And when I seen that, then we got back to the room, and until he passed out drunk, I called my mom hysterical crying, just trying to make sense of it. So that was my first like shell shock moment, between the cursing, the devaluing, the putting me down, and just acting like ludicrous, and then the
Yeah,
drinking.
ruining your moment. Like that was a big moment for
Yes.
you. You were on set, or it was an acting gig, right? It was like a very big moment for you. It was
Yeah, I was,
modeling or acting,
yeah, for
right?
modeling.
And
Yeah, I
like
was doing.
he was taking that away from you.
Yes, and
Crazy.
I didn't realize it then, but that's a thing with narcissists. The light always has to be shined on them, and if you take any of it away from them, even it's not like I was like doing this huge movie with Adam Sandler and there was tens of thousands of people's around me. It was just me, and we're just changing outfits and doing photos for the book or whatever. And he got mad at that. Now I understand it. When I was in it, I didn't. But again, I always wanted to include him in everything, and he wanted no part of it. And I didn't understand it. And I was like, oh, and he already knew. Now that I think back to it, and I talked to my therapist about this, he already knew he was going to ruin the day for me because I know he purposely left his phone in the casino where we were staying 45 minutes away. That's number one. Number two, he made me nervous because he did not want to come upstairs and knew I had no way of contacting him. And number three, he knew what time I was going to be downstairs, so he purposely was not there to put panic in me, make me walk on eggshells. I did not realize I was trauma bonded at that time. And I stayed compliant because that's how I was back then. And then he came to punish me. And that's what he continued to do. And then, like I said in the book, the next day, he acted as if nothing happened. And I was like, we need to talk about this. I'm thinking in my mind. But then I said, I don't ever want to see that side of him again. I'm like, maybe this was a blip. Maybe he just, I don't know, like drank something
Yeah.
bad. Again, making the excuses for them because you don't want to accept that this is the real person that they're showing. So that was one of the big red flag moments for sure.
So you touched on it, but gaslighting often blurs reality. And so at this point, you're already questioning. He's like acting like nothing happened. So what practical reality checks can a listener do in the moment to confirm that yes, this is abuse?
Yes. Well, one practical thing that I did, I mean, it may sound a little crazy to other people that aren't in abusive relationships, but I'll give you one instance. When we went to the Beau Rivage, a casino in Mississippi, he got belligerent drunk that one night. And he just kept drinking and drinking. And he had this thing with, I had to hold the money for him all the time. And I could literally be standing next to him. I mean, not even use the restroom for like 4 hours. He'd be gambling and he'd be drinking. Okay, give me 1,000. I'm going to put on this spin. And then once it was gone, a lot of times he'd tell me, no, you stole the money. No, I didn't. I'm standing right next to you, trying to gaslight me when I didn't even move. Even if I wanted to steal from him, which I didn't, I did not move. Okay. When he used the restroom, I did. When he played, I stood next to him. And the one instance when we were there, we went to go get something to eat late at night, and he was getting really mouthy with me and really nasty. I know you stole money from me. And he asked me to go upstairs. He had like an extra $1,000 he brought. And I actually took my phone and put it on video, but I put it on my lap so you couldn't see the faces, but you can hear the voice because his voice is very
Yep.
distinct. And I said, okay, Frank, this is the $1,000 from the room in the safe. He goes, okay, in his drunk voice. And I said, I'm giving it to you now. It's 11:42 p.m. If you lose this, there is nothing left in the safe tomorrow. So do not tell me that I went and I blew it. I'm giving it to you now because you told me you choked me out if I wouldn't give it to you because I only had the code. He made all these stupid rules and stuff. So I gave it to him. Of course, he went to the roulette wheel. He blew it. And he blamed me, of course, for losing. So the next morning, he did exactly what I said. Where's the $1,000? I said, I gave it to you last night. No, you did it, you effing bitch. So I played him the video. What are you doing? Recording me now? I said, oh, so you're admitting. I said that I gave you the $1,000 and you blew it. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's from another time. Gaslighting at its finest. I said, it's time stamped, honey. You can't see the face. I said, but only one person has your voice. So again, that's another form of gaslighting. It's sad when you have to get to that point, of filming or taping a conversation. It's really more for validation for yourself because they're always going to deny, 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 deny. They're
Yeah.
never going to admit their wrongdoings. They're never going to admit, oh, maybe I was a little too drunk. I don't remember. They don't do that. That's not in their world. Everybody else is the problem but them. So that's what I would do. Make a journal, make a note what incident happened, how you felt, what were the words spoken, What do you think triggered them? Little things like that. And then if you keep seeing a pattern of this happening for a certain amount of time, or it can even be a stretch of time, you can tell like if this is really a narcissist.
Right. So when you finally said enough is enough, and I know we talked about the trauma bonding and how difficult that is, and there's no judgment at all for anybody or for you in this because I know what it's like as well. So leaving can feel scary as hell, especially with that trauma bond. So what happened in your mind to actually allow you to like move from fear to this firm decision that I'm leaving?
Yes. Well, I technically left him twice, and I felt the same both ways, a little bit different each time. The first time I thought it was just an emotional affair and I've had it. And the second time I knew that was the final goodbye. I shouldn't have gave him a second chance, but I did. But what led up to it, which most of the time this happens, it usually just doesn't come out of anywhere like you're going to leave them. It has to be something leading up to it, whether it's a big blowout, the silent treatment. What my ex Frank did was, I'd say in August, we booked the wedding. And then maybe a couple of weeks later, he started getting really distant. And that's when he was going to Atlantic City by himself, one of his friends, because I was getting root canals done and I couldn't afford it. And instead of just going with friends and enjoying the time, he spent that time to pick up old women, where the mistress comes in. And as soon as he met her, and I didn't know for 4 months, I saw a change in his behavior. He wasn't talking to me. He would take naps on purpose just not to talk to me. He stopped wanting to have sex. And then once he didn't want to eat my food, which is like, he could say all he wants about me, which is obviously all lies, but I'm a fantastic cook. And like, what do they always say? Into a man's heart is through their stomach. You know, I always made him gourmet meals. And for him to be like, no, I'm good. I picked up White Castle or hot dogs. I don't want your short ribs. Like, what? Like, what the hell's going
Mm.
on here?
Yeah,
And
that's
it
crazy.
just, yeah. Listen, I'm not saying every man's like this, and sex is obviously not, the most important thing. But when you're in a relationship with somebody and you have, let's say, a routine with them, when you go without being intimate for 4 months, you know something's wrong. Okay. And
Oh,
especially I know
totally. Especially with a
how,
narcissist who
oh,
feeds on your giving him validation through sex. Like,
exactly. And I noticed that that time frame, he was becoming very nasty with me. That little bit he would talk, and I would try so hard to have communication and stuff with him. So that kind of all built up. Then when I found out, when I thought it was an emotional affair, when I tell you this can happen to other people, I'm a Gemini, so I got that other flip side to me. I did not even recognize myself when I found out, because I found out the night before, as I put in the book. I purposely waited until the next day he was at work and called him at breakfast to tell him I know, and called him every name in the book and screamed and said everything I had to, because I was scared for myself if I did it in person, because
mm,
the anger inside me, and just, I've never screamed at somebody like that before and had such rage, and I'm not that type of person, and I don't ever want to be that person again, and nobody should make you get to that level. But this is, 9 almost 9 years of abuse, and then it's an affair on top of it. Come on, man, how much can one person take? So I had a big blowout fight with him, blocked him right away. That was very hard. Oh my God. And they say you go through withdrawals. Let me tell you, you do. I know it sounds stupid. I don't do drugs. I don't drink, so I wouldn't know what it's like, but you shake, you tremble, you can't eat, and you can eat a little. You don't sleep. You have ruminating thoughts, and you just, even though you don't want to be with them, there's still a part of you that loves them, but you ended it. So you're at odds with yourself. And then it's hard because of the trauma bond. It's like the person who causes harm is also the person who soothes you. So now when you leave, he's causing harm. Well, I want him to soothe me now. No, we can't do that anymore, Jodi. We left him. So these are the thoughts I had to tell myself. And don't get me wrong, the first and second time, I never had any urge to call him. I never unblocked him. Um, nothing like that. And I know other people, it's harder because on average it takes somebody about 7 times to leave for good, which is seven too many. But it took me twice. And I know it's easier said than other. You just got to have that mindset. Like, I decided to leave. That means no contact. We don't check their social media. We don't check if they're still living. We don't check what they had for lunch. We don't care. And that's how I live my life. I act as if he passed away because in my mind, he did. The person that I fell in love with did not exist. So that's it. You know, that's how I go about my business. I talk about the book and I talk about what I went through to help others. It doesn't hinder my healing. Some people think it does, but I'm like, no. I said it's a part of who I am. I mean, I was with him for 9 years. I mean, it's a big part of my life. And if I could take my pain and put it into a purpose and help other people, then that's all I want at the end of the day. And I know some other people, from what I've read in other narcissistic abuse groups, they're like, "Oh, I broke no contact today. I feel like an asshole. I'm like," and I write to them, I'm like, "Don't feel like that. Just recognize, okay, I had a weak moment and block them and don't call again." And of course, these are for the people that, don't have assets together, don't have children that they can go no contact. Absolutely go no contact. If there's no reason for you to talk to them, pretend as if they never exist because trust me, the mental damage they do, that takes long enough to get over. You don't need to talk to them because trust me, they don't care. They can act as if they do. They deserve actor of the year, but they really do not care. They only care
Yeah,
about
for
themselves
sure.
and their reputation. Their reputation is a big one too.
Yeah, this image, right? So should a safety plan be included in something like this? Especially for people with kids. So there was no kids involved with you guys?
No, no kids. We were just engaged. I lived in his house, so we didn't commingle assets or anything at that point or money, thankfully. So it was much easier to leave. And then when I went back the second time, I didn't move back in. It was, supposed to be a patch up period. And then I found out about the affair again. And I was like, okay, we're done. We're out of here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if somebody has children or a house is different, that takes longer. Money. My best advice would be put some money to the side. If you're scared they're going to get physical, I would do something like I did when you're ready to leave, or if you found out devastating news like I did, try to hold it in, leave when they're not home. Just go incognito, boom, disappear. That's all you have to do. And if you have children, I know other states have all these different laws and stuff. You would have to check with the lawyer, but I would just leave, get yourself to a safe space. If it's family you go to and they know where they live, you got to explain to them the situation. Be like, tell them I'm not here and just
Yeah.
ignore your phone calls, block them. And listen, when that child custody stuff comes up, you have to ask the lawyer what's best advised. And if you have to talk to them, you got to do the gray rock method. Yes, okay, whatever. Like very little. You just try not to engage with them at all. So, I mean, that's one thing I'm thankful for that I have no ties to him, or I did cut any ties I did have to him. So like I said, I have nothing to say to him. And if I ever see him on the street or anywhere else, I'll just turn the other way because he's dead to me. I will never speak to him again. The only way he will ever see me is watching my podcast. So don't worry, there's plenty more to come because I got plenty more to say.
Oh my Lord. I'm only laughing because like I said, I talked to you about it before.
Yes.
You're good at it. I love it. It's like
Yeah.
we're watching the movie, but I feel for him because we both know he's gonna watch this. Like
Oh,
we
of
both
course.
know he's probably like tapped in my camera right now or something crazy like
Of course.
that.
My
Or
biggest fan.
yours. Oh
What do
my
they always
God,
say?
now I need protection.
Well, they always say your biggest fans are the haters. So.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God. So you were talking a little bit about the emotional wounds that like this relationship left you. So what are some of the common post-breakup trauma symptoms that listeners should expect when they leave? You touched on a few of them, but
Yeah.
what was real for you?
Well, I would say when I left, it's a lot of confusion and ruminating thoughts. You keep going back to a lot of the good times because you're trying to make sense like, this really can't be him. He can't be that bad. Did he really hate me? Did he really love me? Your mind is going to kind of try to push the traumatic stuff out and keep thinking all the good. And obviously, you can't just tell your brain to do that and it's going to listen, because remember, you're brainwashed at that point. So you have to reconfigure yourself. And you're going to try to make sense of it, and it's not going to. And somebody like me, I had anxiety, lots of anxiety. I didn't have any panic attacks, thank God. Those are far and few, but the anxiety was enough to, like, shake my leg all day. And, I take Xanax, I'm not going to lie, because of my traumatic experiences. But, I slipped into a little bit of a depression there. I mean, everybody has different ways of dealing with it. I am a believer in medication only when needed, okay? And some people can go the holistic route. Some people don't need medication. Some people need a lot, okay? I have medical issues on top of it, and I'm on a depression slash anxiety, and it's an off-label use for fibromyalgia, which I have, which narcissistic abuse causes autoimmune diseases. And I was diagnosed with that 6 months into living with him, right after that Florida trip. So I take Spravato. It's that ketamine therapy. I mean, it's heavy stuff, but it helps a little bit, and I'm on maintenance for it. So it has its after effects. So, I'm very transparent. I know I like to say the jokes in there to make it a little light sometimes, but with this stuff, obviously, everybody's going to be different. Some people can just bounce back in like a couple of months, and they can go out and date right away, and they can kind of push it away. God bless. I'm just wired a little differently. It really took a toll on me because I really thought I was going to wind up with him. And I'll be honest, if I didn't find out about the affair, and if he behaved a little better, I hate saying that, but it is like a toddler mentality they have, I probably would have stuck around because I loved him that much and I was that trauma bonded. So you put all that together, everybody has their breaking point. So you know what? I thank that mistress. I thank him for having that affair, because that was the final straw to make me leave. Because that's what was meant to happen. I really believe everybody has a purpose in this life. I was meant to be with him for a certain season, and he was my biggest lesson. But I will be making the biggest lesson out of my book for others in these situations, to get out and don't stay as long as I did. And if you do stay for a certain amount of time, don't beat yourself up. Just do things that make you feel good, and just know that some days are going to be better than others. When you're having a bad day, if you feel like staying in, and I don't want to say self-isolate, but you just want time to yourself, stay in. If you don't feel like cooking that night, go order pizza. And sometimes you're going to have your friends push you out. Like, say, no, I want you to come out today. I haven't seen you in a week or two. Really rely on friends and stuff. Get out, go to a movie. You can even look at old pictures of you and your ex and make fun of them. I mean, whatever makes you happy. It's just getting out of that mindset. So, I did a lot of things after I left him. Like, I have my regular therapist. I seeked out a narcissistic abuse specialist therapist. I always get tongue-tied. And she really helped me with the whole narcissism world. And I also just took a course on narcissistic abuse recovery coach. I'm certified in it now. So now I know about living through it and also the psychology behind it, which is just mind-blowing. But you have to just beat to your own drum. If you're not feeling like you're making enough progress, then ask your doctor, hey, do you think this anxiety medication would help for a little bit? Do you think this depression medication might help? There's no shame in that. Whatever works for you works for you. And again, I was never on depression medication until this happened. This is very traumatic for me. This was very off-putting. I mean, my whole life was him. It was him, So, and I've accepted it because I chose this life. I chose to leave him, not once, but twice. So I knew it was not going to be an easy road, but I'm a doer. I don't sit back. Have I cried? Oh my God, a million times. Do I still do? Not that often, once in a while, but it's just more of what I lost, but it was something that I should have never had in the beginning because it wasn't real. It's like a fake jackpot. They give you this box and you're thinking there's this jackpot of money, and it's a gag gift, so you got to like reconfigure your brain and just say, listen, I wasted this much time. It is what it is. Let's take it as a growing lesson. Let's help others and move forward. And that's what I do. And the best thing I do is keep myself busy. My real estate, the acquisitions, the book, the podcasts, go out with my friends. I do what I want when I want. I don't have to answer to anybody. I finally got my own apartment, something I never thought I would be able to do on my own because I was always told, especially by my ex, I'm never good enough. I'm a loser. I don't make enough money. Really? I got my own apartment, something you said I could never do. He always said I'd never make it without him. I'm actually doing the best I ever have since I left him. So, that's just the way it
Beautiful.
goes. Karma comes around. It does not forget.
Yeah, well, you're thriving because you were pushed in order to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, your body was definitely stuck in fight or flight. And I think that's one thing
Yeah.
for the listeners to know is that you're going to leave, but your body is going to be still stuck in fight or flight. So what that means is your whole entire system is like tense.
Yeah.
And once that starts releasing, you're going to cry and you're going to laugh and you're going to go through all these somatic responses because your system, once it starts feeling safe again, will slowly unravel. But
Yes.
that process takes a lot of time.
That does. My therapist actually got certified. I think I'm saying it right. EDMR therapy. I think I'm saying it right. So they say that really helps release stored trauma in the body. So I'm probably going to be doing that next. Because like I said, I'm pretty much right here with the healing up there, but I know I have a lot of unhealed trauma still sitting in me. Like I could feel it. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's
Oh,
like I want
it
to
does.
release it. Like it's the weirdest thing because it's like we all know our bodies, right? And for me, I tense up. I hold on to things and I don't know how to let go. My brain does. My body doesn't. And it's with a lot of things. It just doesn't know how to it's
Yeah,
it's a very difficult thing to put into words. But like I said, there's always different forms of therapy. I mean, I exercise. I got to take it easy with my back and my medical issues and stuff, but I just try to do positive things. That's the most important. And you got to, surround yourself with positive people, people who aren't going to put you down and say, I told you not to stay with him too long. I told you he was a
yeah,
loser. I told you he was a womanizer. That doesn't help. They're supposed to be there for you and help you on your healing journey, not put you 10 steps back. So that's very important too, because I know there's a lot of negative people out there. So find a good unit.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And once you open that like healing box, you start to unwind and like even for me, like I've been through quite a lot in my life. I spent a decade in recovery. I literally cried on the weekend over something that happened when I was 14 years old that I thought I was way over. But this stuff, especially for women, gets trapped in our hips. So once you start working on that part of your body, all of these emotions are going to pour out of you. And some of them you're not even going to know where they came from. But there is a lot of power in healing in that way. And a
Yeah.
lot of the emotions, like you said, you're holding on to them in parts of your body that are causing you disease. So hopefully when you start releasing those, your symptoms will go away and maybe you can even, slow down on the meds one day, but who knows? But for anyone out there, like there's a lot of trapped things in our bodies that are
Yeah.
wrecking havoc from traumatic experiences, especially if you're walking on eggshells every single day. That means your body was completely locked up every single day.
Yes.
And then
Absolutely.
learning to breathe again. Yeah. So this is a question. I don't know. When
Sure.
do you think it's truly safe to start dating again? Like, how do you start dating again after dating or after like narcissistic abuse? What would be some of the green lights?
All right. Well, number one thing is everybody's different, especially their healing time. You have to feel comfortable enough at least to start entertaining the idea. I could tell you one thing, your guard's going to be way up, and it should be. It should be because the dating world, crazy, crazy. So you have to. And there's narcissists
Yeah.
everywhere left. I feel like I'm like narcissist, cheater, liar. You don't want to be so like, like an FBI agent, but listen, your intuition is your best friend. And let me tell you, because there's so many times my intuition was dead on with Frank, my ex, and I did not listen. Your body tells you before your mind does, because the heart wants what it wants, but the mind, that's another thing. So I would say go with your intuition. If something doesn't seem right, cut it off. Don't bother. I mean, I can't tell you ever since, this all happened, people that I don't know, okay, because everything's public what I put with the book. People I don't know, the inappropriate messages I get from all different age groups. I just delete it. I don't even open. It's a joke. There is no respect anymore. There's no manners. I know because I lived with somebody like that. But people that are complete strangers, they just no couth, no nothing. So in the dating world, if you meet somebody, I'm not a forward person, but now, like with dating, you have to be. You have to say, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to do. If you're not on the same page, don't waste my time. Because I
Mm.
can't tell you how many people say, "Oh, I want to get in a relationship and, you know, meet somebody and, go on vacations with normalcy." And then, 2 days later, they'll ask, "Hey, are you DTF, whatever the sayings is, down to FUCK." No, no, I'm not. When did I give that impression? I
Yeah,
again, so this is the mentality of men nowadays. And it's women too. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of women out there, and I'm not poo-pooing the people who want to have friends with benefits and, just live a life of, I sleep with five different women a week. That's fine. But do not be in
yeah,
a relationship with somebody that wants monogamy, who wants to be married, who is dedicating their life to you, and you're out living a double life. That's all I'm saying. So when you go out to date, even before you go out on a date, talk to them, text them, call them. You know what? Even better, do a FaceTime. See if they're really that person. If you're doing online dating or if it's a friend's brother or whatever, talk to them. See if you vibe with them first. See if it's even worthwhile. Because let me tell you, especially when you're my age, 41, I'm not old, but you know what? I'm tired of the games. You know, I'm very easy. I have no children, no brothers and
amen,
sisters.
sister. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want the bullshit. Either you want to get to know me or you don't. And if you don't, no
yeah,
problem. It's your loss, just like Frank. So that's it. You just keep moving on. And if you're meant to be with that person, it will happen. And if it's not, things like this will happen and you leave. So, you just got to take whatever happens in life and don't look at it like, oh man, just think of it. You're not the person for me. I changed my mindset with everything because Frank for years would constantly put me down, belittle me, say every bad name in the book about me. And it wasn't just when he was drinking, it wasn't just when he was high. He did it every day, even if it was little digs or this or that. I was never good enough in his eyes. Everybody's beneath him. He's God. It takes a toll on you after a while. So I had to retrain myself. You're not that I ever thought that about myself, but it does bring your self-esteem down. I will say that. Because
for
I know a
sure.
lot
Yeah,
of other, yeah, I know a lot of other abuse survivors, they think, oh, is it my fault? No, see, I never thought that because I knew what he was doing. Because remember, I was married to a narcissist before, a different kind of narcissist, but I've danced this dance before. So I knew, and my friends seen him abuse me in public. So then when those bright red lights were shining, we're like, I think it's time to get out of here. And that's when the affair happened. So, you know,
yeah. So you're making dating sound so good in your 40s. I just got back in the game myself, so that's what I have to look forward to. I'm 40.
I
It's
guess
out there. Oh my
good
God.
luck. Maybe it's better where you live, but yeah, you know what it is. It's just I guess when you're in your 20s and all my 30s were spent with him, unfortunately, but it's a different mindset now, and everybody they just want this instant gratification. And then it's true, like I think it was Bethany Frankel. I follow her. She's trying to date in her 50s and she's like it's a nightmare. And I understand what she's saying. She's like guys in their 50s, they don't want relationships because they're divorced, they're paying alimony, they have grown
Yeah,
children, they have the house, they have the car, they went up the corporate ladder. They just like come to dinner, come back to my place. Okay, see you whenever. That's the mentality. I'm not saying all men are like this, but a lot of them are. And it could be in the age group of 30, 40, 50s, maybe even 60s. Okay, there's a lot of stuff I've seen people have sent me, and I'm like, wow, okay. I just don't understand what happened to this world. I should have been born maybe in a different generation because I'm very old school mannered. And, of course, I'm the class and I wound up with trash, my ex, Frank, but, opposites attract. But just people
mm,
don't want to get to know each other anymore and they don't want to like get to the core of who you are. So I just say until the right person comes along, you do you. And that's it.
yeah. Definitely. What you're gonna put out there, I don't even know. I can't even talk about the online dating game. But I know when I was in it, it was a nightmare. And it was like almost comical at times, just the things that would happen. It felt like I was in a movie. But yeah, I mean, you got to wait until the right person comes along. And I'm so happy that you got out of that relationship. And so you're free now. So I'm curious, what does freedom look like? Like, what's a Tuesday like for you now? And like, do you feel safe in your own body again?
It's kind of like yes and no. I mean, I feel safe in the manner of like I don't have to walk in eggshells anymore. So that's always a positive. I feel more of a release that I don't have to like worry about, him coming home and starting an argument or, why is he not answering the phone? Is he out whoring around? All that stuff I don't have to worry about anymore. I do trust my own body, but like I said, I did go through a lot of ups and downs with the depression and the anxiety, so that's really been leveled out, especially with the medication. I still get it here and there, but it's been better. Things take time. um my whole life I've always made it about a man, whether it was my ex-husband or really more about Frank. I mean, it was like he got the wife and a half experience with me, and I do like being that person. I do like being the home taker, all that stuff. So it's kind of weird for me, like just taking care of myself. It's still kind of an odd thing because I'm just so used to taking care of someone else because it was so many years. It was like 8 years with my ex-husband, 9 years with Frank. So it's,
Right.
almost half my life. And I don't miss it. Don't get me wrong. I don't. I enjoy my peace. I come home, I do what I want when I want, call my friends, stay up late, put a face mask on, talk to Peggy, talk about the book, whatever. So I have a lot more freedom, a lot more, I do what I want when I want. So there's a lot of positives to it. There's really no negatives. It's just you have to be comfortable being alone. And that's one thing a narcissist can't ever do. They're never alone. When they say they're alone, they're not alone. They're on a dating app or they're on, a porno site or they're on a dating site or, they're going to go meet a girl in an hour. They don't know how to sit with themselves because they're so miserable and they don't like themselves. They have to have constant distractions. And unfortunately, a lot of the distractions are, women in infidelity. So you just got to
Yeah,
kind of,
it's all instant validation
yep,
things. So things like porn and talking to other people, even just talking to friends, like constantly being on, the messenger apps or, talking to people. They literally have a hard time sitting with themselves. Um, 'Cause
they
they don't know
do.
how. They
They
don't
they
know how.
They really don't. And I can't even tell you, like, it wasn't one or two were like kind of inappropriate, but years ago, before this whole affair thing happened, I caught two of his exes, Frank, messaging him. The one was kind of like, I don't like this. And the other one was very inappropriate. And I got mad at him because, one lived out of state and the other one left him. So I'm like, what is this? And I,
Mhm.
kind of argued with him over that. And he's, oh, I can't. He goes, I can't help what other people message me. Then block them. I'm your fiance. I wasn't talking to my ex-husband at the time. I wasn't talking to my, exes from the past. And again, I'm not saying you got to have these rules, but if somebody's sending you explicit videos of doing something or talk that bothers your spouse or your partner, you should not be talking to them. And
And spoiler alert, that wasn't the first one. That was the only one that you saw. So
exactly, exactly. But see, that's the difference. See, what narcissists like to do is they like to stay in contact with their ex, no matter how it went down, whether they left them or you left them. They always want you in their back pocket because that's validation. So when this
Mhm.
one leaves them and this one, they could call you up and butter you up. See, I am the only woman in the history of Frank that is left not once but twice and Jekyll can't hide is born. So this is something he has never dealt with before. Oh, well, a dark empath is born. This is what your consequence is. And again, it's not about punishment, it's about empowerment. You put me through hell. I don't want other women to go through this. I want to help them, and I'm here to help them not make the same mistakes I did. So you got to just take the bad and make good out of whatever you can.
Where do people find your book and where do they get your help?
Yes, they can go on Amazon.com and it's just under Jekyll Can't Hide, HYDE, good play on words. They can also go on www.jodilynpavlock.com. There's also a link to get the book there. And then I have my book trailer video. It's also on Barnes and Nobles online. And we're working on getting them in the stores too. And I'm just constantly booking podcasts and talking to a bunch of literary agents and publishing companies. So it's moving along, and I'm very social on my social media accounts. Facebook is just Jodi Lynn Pavlock, Instagram Jodi Pavlock, and TikTok's Jodi P 1984. So a lot of people DM me there, and I also have the Jodi's Triumph Narcissistic Abuse group on Facebook as well. So we talk a lot about narcissism, and anybody can DM me if they want any personal stuff to talk about. I'm here.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for, sharing more of your story and for talking about getting out.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love for you to come back and talk about what happens and how to, heal yourself. So I'd love to hear your healing journey next if you'd come back and share.
Sure, absolutely, will do.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
So yeah, do you have any last minute words before we say goodbye?
Yes, just if anybody's struggling in this kind of toxic relationship, just know at the end of the day, it's not you. No matter how many words they spew, the hate, just know it's not you. Love yourself, put yourself first, and believe in yourself. You can do it. Just got to go through the darkness to get to the light.
Mm. I don't think there's any need to add anything to that. So thank you so much again. And again, to our audience, if you are struggling with any of this, narcissistic abuse is a real thing. Listen to Jodi's story. Go back and listen to the other shows where she shares the first part of her story. Read her book. It's real. You're not crazy. So stop doubting yourself, start changing today. I really feel for people out there. Anyway, stay tuned for the next episode. And until then, take care, everyone.
Bye bye.